the sweet potato pie. Even the keenest taste buds will tell you the best food on the planet. Large enough to serve you and small enough to know you. So get the Henrys at 5431 Indian Head Highway, Oxon Hill, Maryland, or give us a call at 301-749-6856.
Soul food. Henry's soul food. What do you need? Soul food. Henry's soul food.
Welcome to the Armstrong Williams Show, brought to you by Golden Crust Bakery, the fastest growing Caribbean-owned franchise in the United States. Golden Crust is committed to the delivery of quality food and excellent customer service. Visit them today at goldencrustbakery.com. Who's the best? Who's the best? And all the rest, the American people. Listen, Alex and Anthony, Anthony came over. I was in the midst of riding and doing blogs, and Anthony said, do you realize there's a shooting right in your backyard? He said, get the camera. We fetched the camera. We ran outside. It was chaos. It was pandemonium. 2 officers were down. Some crazy woman who tried to ram the gates of the White House went on a wild goose chase with the Capitol Hill police all the way up to the Senate Hart building. She gets out. She shoots 2 police officers. One had been flown by helicopter to Navy Hospital here in Washington, D.C. The woman had a baby in the car. What?
Oh. Armstrong.
Oh, that's what happened? Not with the gun? She hit the police car with the gun. The car was her weapon. Oh, we were there. I'm out of breath.
When did this happen?
It happened in the last hour. We just came back.
For heaven's sake.
This is happening now?
It just happened.
They're still on scene wrapping it up.
They're wrapping it up. I didn't know if we were going to make the show today.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Was anybody killed?
Well, one was in critical condition. She hit him with the car. He's in critical condition.
A policeman?
Yes.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
Well, they was
shot. This was deliberate, or was it an accident?
One was shot.
One of them was shot.
Yeah, it was deliberate. It was deliberate.
Who did the shooting?
The woman.
woman?
Some woman. She had a 4-year-old baby in the car.
With a little person in the car.
Oh God, there's sickies around here. Is that awful? Oh, my God.
You all had not heard about it?
No.
It just happened. Let me tell you, we were there. It's probably happened around 2:40. Yes, it's crazy. And you know, Nancy and those paranoid about going because they think they're going to get shot. And
I was just thinking, don't you guys go outside again?
Oh, please. This is what.
So did you run out?
I was there. Don't you understand? I was there.
Oh.
I was there on the scene.
Oh, Armstrong. That is so chilling.
If we were not there, we would not be able to report it to you firsthand. And Alex had the camera. And we interviewed a member of Congress who said he had just returned from Union Station, and he heard something say, pop, pop. And he said he didn't know what he said, pop, pop. And then the police officer walked up to him and saw his pen, recognized that it was Congressman Vargas from San Diego, recognized that he was a member of Congress. He said, I suggest you take your pen off. There's been a shooting here, and you may be a target. Any member of Congress.
My.
Yes.
Oh.
And so we have him on camera. Yes.
Do they have this woman?
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
Did they shoot her? I mean, what happened?
They shot her. They shot her.
She's in custody now.
But they shot her.
She's in custody.
Yes, but they did shoot her. They were authorized to use force. Yes.
And what happened to that little child?
The officers got her out. You probably see scenes later on where they took the little baby out of the car. The baby is safe.
Oh, my God.
Well, you know, the baby is safe until somebody else comes along with a gun.
Oh.
Forgive me, but that is my response.
If the officers did not have their guns, the situation could have really gotten out of hand.
If she didn't have her gun,
she didn't have her gun, we'd be in a lot better shape.
People are going to find a way to get guns. If you take all the guns away from the innocent people, all the criminals will be the only ones armed. Think about that. Come on.
I have thought about that, Armstrong, and I think of people in other countries where this doesn't happen. where they're not the countries are not awash with guns, and so instead of 11,000 killings, they have 200 murderers.
I can't give up. I can't give
in a year.
up. I can't give up my guns. I can't.
You don't have to. You're probably licensed.
I am licensed. That's right. I am
Well,
licensed.
isn't that a difference?
Oh, so you're saying if you're not licensed? Oh, I agree with you then. I agree. Yes, we're in agreement.
Nobody's
Yes.
saying give up your.
Oh, okay.
Nobody's saying give up your licensed guns. Nobody's saying don't have background checks.
Yes, we're together. We're together. But I want to tell you, ladies, there were hundreds and hundreds of Capitol Hill police. They were swarming, but they were so nice. Things were so calm. There was not pandemonium. It was not chaos. The officer was telling us that the officer was down. They were coming in on the helicopter. They take the officer to the hospital, and it was just calm. It was peaceful.
Well, you know, I work in a police station every 2 weeks, and I have to tell you, my respect for these people just grows and grows and grows. And how they have the courage to go out and do what they do is amazing. Just amazing.
It is just amazing. It is more than amazing.
Yeah.
What? Listen.
Oh my.
For no reason at all, and it happened during the shift change, when they were changing shifts.
Oh.
So this was deliberate on her part. She knew when the shift changed and thought she could catch her students in the middle.
You know what? I don't want to give her too much credit. I don't want to give her too much credit.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we don't know. She may.
That might have just
She
been
may
pure
just
coincidence.
have gotten what she would consider lucky.
What do we do? What do we do to stop this chaos? What's going on in this world?
Well, I'll tell you what happened I believe it was Australia, is when it got to this point, a very conservative government said, we're not putting up with this anymore. We are confiscating guns from people who shouldn't have them. We are having strict rules on who has them.
Yes, there has to be regulations.
And by the way,
regulations
they are now warning people not to visit our wonderful country. Why? Because of that young man who was just murdered in Oklahoma. For no reason. Because the kids said they were bored and they all had guns. I'm sorry. I'm not sympathetic with people who say there shouldn't be any regulation. That just doesn't wash with me.
Was that a gun? What was that? What was that noise?
I don't know.
Sounded like
Wasn't
a gun.
Here.
I don't know, but please broadcast from under your desk.
Right. Oh, jeez.
You know
I don't know
what?
what that's
So
for.
Let me tell you something. If somebody came in here shooting, I'd be right out there. I wouldn't be under my desk.
No, I know you would. That's why I'm asking you to please do it for my sake.
No, I'd be right out there. Make no mistake about it. You know what? If you're going to kill me, you're not going to kill me sitting down not defending myself. I tell you that.
I know.
I know. But listen.
I know.
You
you have every right to defend yourself.
These are dangerous times, aren't they?
Yes,
They are horribly dangerous times. In fact, we wrote about that on our blog just this month. So if people go to elderchicks.com, they can weigh in on what they think about these times. We don't take sides, but it's interesting.
And we try to keep it non-political, just talking about what kind of times are these, and hope that people will weigh in on their thoughts.
Armstrong, are you aware of a famous Chinese curse, an ancient curse, that says, may you live in interesting times?
Oh, wow. Talk about that.
Yeah. Well, we're doing it, aren't we?
Well, there's all kinds of interesting.
Yeah.
We do want to live in
I think
interesting
they're talking
times.
about this kind of interesting, dangerous times. And they
well,
are.
I think that all times are interesting. I
Right.
think that people who find times boring are just not...
they're not paying attention.
They're not living or paying attention, right.
Right. But sometimes they're more dangerous than others, and I think these really are.
Well, there's not a day that doesn't go by without a heinous set of killing circumstances, shooting circumstances.
I still can't get my mind off that little child that she had with her in the back of her car. How is that little child going to grow up?
That's the worst
This is
part.
not a rational woman.
She was not a rational woman. Have a child in the back. It's crazy.
Oh, Unthinkable.
I don't know, Armstrong. What do you think? What do you think is the solution to these chaotic times?
You really want to know?
Yes.
I actually think the only way that you can stop this, at some point, you've got to arm well-trained citizens in key nerve centers of these major cities and malls, because it's just like what happened at the mall in Kenya. If someone opens fire, it's best to have someone inside the perimeter who's also armed. But they got to be well-trained. They got to know how to use a gun. They got to make sure they don't kill innocent civilians, because I don't think law enforcement can get to us fast enough. Too much damage is done before they get to the crime scene. Because
so
you're not going to stop.
How many armed individuals would it take?
Not many. Remember.
Not many?
Remember the
they
story?
Have to be everywhere.
Remember the story in the 1960s when the guy was shooting from the bell tower, and the man used his pistol to take him out? Many American citizens was armed in the early days, and we did not have the kind of crime and violence we have today because they were very responsible.
There were very few compared to today.
Yes, because they knew that every day, they never knew which person would pop up and take them out if they tried to commit that kind of crime.
Now, do you think that in Arizona, when Gabby Giffords was shot, do you think that in Arizona there were not a load of people in that parking lot with guns?
No, I don't.
You think there were not?
They would have. Listen, we'll come back to this. Dr. Reeves, Dr. Fly, they tell me we have guests today, too. Do we? Are they on the line now?
I hope so.
Tell me.
They're calling in.
They're calling in? I don't know. We'll find out when we come back. Don't go away.
Say bye-bye burgers, pass on the pizza, forget the francs. Anytime is party time. Discover Golden Cross's authentic Jamaican-style patties. Beef, chicken, vegetables, soya, spinach, and shrimp. Feast on our great taste sensations. Jerk chicken, oxtail, sliced fish, and much more. Savor the taste of the Caribbean. Only at a Golden Cross near you. A family tradition since 1949. GoldenCrossBakery.com.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams. What does it mean to be conservative? Freedom of speech, freedom of free enterprise, freedom of assembly, less government, less taxes. As a matter of fact, a flat tax. Everyone should pay proportional tax. It doesn't matter whether you make $100 million or $10,000. Everyone should pay their 10%. Everyone should have something at stake in this American economy. I'm Armstrong Williams, expressing what we mean by conservative traditional value.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
America must change course if we hope to survive and save the American dream for our children and grandchildren. How do we fix Social Security and Medicare? How do we cut government spending? How do we reform health care? How do we simplify the tax code? The Heritage Foundation has a bold plan that tackles these tough problems using common sense solutions that leave partisan politics on the sidelines. Find out how we can save the American dream at savingthedream.org, paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams with an opportunity to own a piece of paradise in Nassau, Bahamas. Spectacular land prices, 8,000 square feet, 20,000 square feet lot, affordable prices, hilltop properties with views of the magnificent sea. Just call 242-677-3120 or 3121 or go to info@rightsidewire.com and leave your information.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
We were so caught up in the fact that of this breaking news and that we're on the scene that I just forgot my manners. We have had two guests on the line who have been waiting. Dennis Woods and Paul Hunter. Dennis Woods was born and raised in Chicago, Illinois, and attended vocational high school, being in the class of 74. And Paul Hunter is joining us, who has been in the public relations world since 2005. Before we get to our guests, because this is a full hour show, what were the questions you asked before we were going to break, Dr. Fleischer? Because I do want to answer that.
Well, I wanted to know, you agreed that there was a lot of chaos.
Yes.
And, I wanted to know what your thought would be of getting rid of it. You said that you thought a lot of armed citizens. And I wondered about how in a place like Arizona, where people are heavily armed, I'm sure in that parking lot there must have been quite a few armed citizens. The parking lot where Gabby Giffords was shot and a few people were killed, that there weren't people in the parking lot there. And yet that didn't prevent that massacre from happening.
The problem is, just like on the Navy Yard, personnel had guns, but they're not allowed to have ammunition in their weapons. And so, depending on the situation, when you're dealing at a public function, sometimes certain people who are armed are not authorized to fire their weapon. It all depends on the circumstance. All I'm saying to you, if I were in a room and if I were a teacher and I knew somebody was coming in with an AK-47, I would be comforted in knowing that some of the teachers or some of the personnel were armed in the building. Because by the time law enforcement arrived, we all would probably be dead. That's all I'm saying.
Armstrong, this is Dennis Woods. You mind if can I hop in on that?
That's what it's called, radio, brother. Say whatever you got to say, of course. Talk to us.
You know, I have a friend, a pastor friend that lives in Arizona. And one of the things that he told me about Arizona is everybody has the right to carry there and everybody has guns. And the question that was posed, when people have guns, I think, Armstrong, you touched on it. It's the training aspect, because a lot of times when crises happen, number one, people freeze up. You can have a tool to be able to respond, but if you have not had some type of stress combat or that type of training, even if you have a gun, sometimes people just may freeze up in a situation like that. And then I'm just thinking in terms, if that parking lot would have lit up, if you had one shooter, and if that parking lot would have lit up with people returning fire, then I'm thinking there would have been a lot more casualties from collateral damage and unintended type of things. But I think what you touched on, Armstrong, is very important. People not only having the license to carry, but also having the training to respond in a crisis situation. That's going to make all the difference in the world. And that's why the SWAT team and the SEAL team and all these other type of people are so good at what they do, because they rehearse, they train, and they know what to do under stress. And I think the average citizen that might have a gun may not know, because they don't get that kind of extensive training.
You know what else is interesting? Let me say this. What else is interesting? All the shots that were fired today, where the officers were shot, were fired by law enforcement, not the woman.
They were, but I think that Dr. Woods is making such an important point, and it is one that you touched on, Armstrong. It's if the citizens, in addition to the police, who have arms, have been trained, they aren't just people who want to own a gun and are carrying it around. They're not the people who want to be shooting back.
You know, I agree. Listen, let me tell you, I don't know. I grew up in a family where if I did not hit that target at least 6 out of 10 times, I could be punished. I mean, we were taught to be marksmen. We were just taught, my brothers and I, we had to go hunting. We had to go target practice. And even when I go to the firing range today, and I don't go as often as I should, the police officers and others who are there at the firing range are just amazed at the accuracy of my shots. but that comes from a long history of
Right.
operating a firearm. And even
Right.
though I may be a little rusty, if I just do a few rounds, I'm back on my game. But I'm always at the fire range sharpening my skills, because you have to, because, oftentimes when people shoot, they miss the shot, the target 85% of the time.
Exactly. And
Right.
we're at a point now where we're letting anybody get hold of a gun, and even sometimes with a background check, and we don't bother to check whether they're competent to have one. We
Right.
check on whether somebody's competent to drive a car.
Right. Well, if you take the lady today that stormed the Capitol building, and we had all of this, what Armstrong and the news have been recently reporting. The issue is when you take people that are stressed out and desperate and too close to the edge, they're liable to do anything. And just as we're finding in the Middle East with Al-Qaeda and all these other types of things, when you have an individual that's willing to sacrifice themselves to make a point or hurt other people, there really is no defense for that. What do? See, you can't do anything about that. And I think that's what the terrorists understood a long time ago. How do you stop a person that's bent on being destructive? And I just think this is just really asymptomatic of a very, very sick society. We are violence crazed. We are entertainment crazed. Our families are breaking down. This is a multi-headed dragon that America is suffering from. And unfortunately, there are no good one answers. It has to be a multi-level approach, starting with the family, starting with economics. I mean, all of the stuff you have going on in the government right now, you're going to see, I'm not a prophet, I'm not claiming to be a prophet, but I'm saying if they don't straighten this mess out, you're going to see more of that. You're going to see more people running their cars and stuff, and it's unfortunate, but it's just the times we live. Like it says in the Bible, 2 Timothy chapter 3, in the last days shall come perilous times, and we are living in those times.
You know what's unfortunate, though, is that the criminal element used the very laws and banning guns, disarming Americans, the loopholes in the law. They don't want Americans armed. They want to go into homes where you can't defend yourself, where you can surrender. I mean, it's a double-edged sword. It's a catch-22. But that's why I encourage people to have German shepherds have a dog, because they're fearful of going in on a dog. But my attitude, I would be more upset at myself than the criminal if he were to break in my home and I did not have the proper tools to defend myself.
Absolutely.
I would be upset with myself.
Can I ask Dr. Woods a question? Because I've read about you. I want to know, in your mentoring practice that you and your wife do, how are you addressing, and are you addressing the idea of violence with the families and the kids that you mentor?
Well, we don't. Well, number one, the kids that we mentor are basically in foster care. So that means these kids are coming into the system based on some type of traumatic event. Obviously, if they're not with their family, they've gone through something to be in state care. And so our approach is what we do is we share a quality time with them. What we do is we show them love and understanding and care. And I think at the core essence of human beings, particularly those of teenagers and kids, they want to be loved. They want to be appreciated. They've gone through hell already. That's why they're in the system. And so what we do is we acknowledge their pain. We acknowledge what they've been through. And then that begins to open them up for other ideas. Because, see, once a person gets hardened, and that's where the problems come in. It's two sides that won't listen to each other. They both may have valid points, but once that person's heart is hardened, they're not going to be open to anything else. So the thing that you have to do is to kind of warm that heart up, and that's why my wife and I, when we started couples mentoring, youth and family services, the whole concept was a married couple that works with these children to give them that family dynamic, and that piece we found is just that it's the non-technical, non-psychological stuff that you do with these kids that is just the basic human decency and needs, and you'll be surprised that's enough to open them up to get them to listen, to let them understand that there's other alternatives.
Yeah, that's an excellent thing. I mentor teenagers also, but mostly teenage girls, and they certainly want not to be judged, and they want to know that you are not holding them accountable to do their homework, let's say. At least that's what I find. But I'm wondering, do you ever run into this business of dealing with if they've had traumatic experiences, they must be sometimes bent toward violence as an answer to their problems. Do you ever have to deal with that?
Well, yeah, but the thing is that there's no way to deal with that without dealing with the core issues.
Yes.
What you do therapeutically is you address any behaviors that are inappropriate. You have to do that when they're presented. But it's just like a therapist. What you want to do is you want to peel back the layers and you want to try to get to some core issues while maintaining them in some mode of appropriate behavior. So the thing is, it's a double-sided approach.
About how much time do you spend with them? I think it's a really interesting idea that you do it so that they can see what a good marriage or a good couple's relationship is like.
We spend typically with our clients, it depends on what these foster care agencies allow us to spend with them. That's dictated by the foster care agencies who contract us to provide the services. But normally, and everything is money, right? So the thing is a lot of our mentoring sessions are done between the 3
Hold there, we're coming back, don't go away, we're coming back. Hold there. Hi, Mike Reagan here. The president has just delayed his Obamacare employee mandate for 1 year, but nothing has changed. The Congressional Budget Office still predicts 7 million Americans will lose their current insurance, and thousands of rules are being implemented today. Obamacare is over 20,000 pages, almost 3 times longer than the whole IRS tax code. Worse, the IRS is now in charge of enforcing the law. You need to protect yourself, your family, and your business with the easy-to-read guide. It's called the Obamacare Survival Guide. Already a #1 New York Times bestseller, Newsmax calls it the best guide to the new law. Get the Obamacare Survival Guide today at bookstores everywhere, or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
Life is full of unexpected changes. Everyone has potential to do wrong. And when they choose to do it, contact the Bucksell Group for your private investigation needs. TheBucksellGroup.com or by phone at 202-243-9746. Whether there's an instance of a cheating spouse, child custody, process service, or security, don't continue suspecting. Get closure so that you can move on with your life. Visit TheBucksellGroup.com now or call 202-243-9746. If you think it's happening, it probably is.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FELA, does what others don't. FELA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfela.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfela.com.
Elder Chicks is an exciting part of the fastest growing segment of the population. Women in their 70s, 80s, and older who are mastering the art of a senior life. We're no longer unseen and unheard. We're providing role models for each other and the baby boomers who are fast approaching retirement. Join our virtual community. Hit www.elderchicks.com on your computer keyboard.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
So, this is what happens when these kind of issues, this breaking news, it does get us off course with the planned show. So, Dennis, we certainly want you to talk to us. And let me welcome Paul Hunter today. Paul, thank you for joining us.
Hey, thank you, Armstrong, for having me on the show again.
You're welcome. Tell us your story. We think it's fascinating. Please tell us your story to our audience.
Well, I am the 19th child out of 21 natural children. Last year in 2012, I became the first child to graduate from college, and that college is Upper Iowa University, where I received a bachelor's degree in business administration. Now I'm at Grand Canyon University here in Glendale, Arizona. I'm working on my master's degree in leadership. Also, I wrote a book, which is, the title of the book is No Love, No Charity, The Success Story of the 19th Child. You can get that book at Amazon.com, Barnes & Nobles, or any particular bookstore.
And Dennis, what is your role?
My role is I have a couple of roles in. Paul and I go back. We've been friends for years. I am his publisher. My other company, other than Couples Mentoring Youth and Family Services, Life the Legacy Publishers, I am the publisher of his book. But I also am the one who wrote the book about his mother as well. And I think Paul probably would like to get into why his story is so intriguing about being the 19th child of this very large family.
Paul, go ahead.
Well, like Dennis had just indicated that he wrote my mom's book, Love and Charity, which talk about my mom as a director of a homeless shelter and how she showed so much love and affection toward homeless people. But she did not display that love at home with her own children. What she was able to do was make derogatory statements, beat us down mentally, physically, and spiritually. And she did not want any of her children to succeed in life. So when I graduated from college, she did not come to my ceremony, and none of my siblings came at all. But when I came back from the ceremony, I wanted to show my mom my degree, what I had accomplished. And so I'll never forget the words that she said to me was that a child is not supposed to be successful in life until the parents are deceased. So you have a mother that in the community, she's like a celebrity in the city of Racine, Wisconsin, started one of the first homeless shelter in the state of Wisconsin, but she treats her kids like they doesn't exist at all. So I was able to write a book and share my personal story of the Hunter family, of how it was growing up in the family.
Dr. Reeves?
Oh, that is such a moving and at once a chilling story and obviously an inspiring story, because here you are able to tell it and able to be successful in your own life. I think it's extraordinary that you've been able to do this. And I think that people must really find it so fascinating to know that someone can find that kind of strength in spite of being subjected to the sort of mental cruelty, emotional cruelty that you were. How do you think you were able to get so strong? What motivated
in my
you?
opinion, I have to give a lot of credit to some of the men and women that came into my life, like Dr. Woods, like some of my professors at Upper Iowa University. It was just ordinary people that was in a healthy relationship with Christ first, and they showed me love and affection. And if it wasn't for those people that came into my life, I wouldn't be able to talk about it today.
Dr. Fleischer?
I'm speechless at this. Absolutely speechless. The strength of character that you have to have known somehow that you needed to push on without any support of your mother.
Yes, and it took a lot. That's the reason why I'm sharing my story. And if you know any journalist or someone at CNN or the Today Show, any of these producers that are looking for a true American story to expose to the American people, this is the story right here. Wow. My story is a story that I believe that will bring hope and inspiration into the lives of the American people.
It reminds me. This story reminds me. If you guys remember back in 2005 when the movie Dreamgirls came out, there was an issue of Ebony magazine with Beyonce and all them on the cover. Mm-hmm. Well, in that issue of Ebony is the Hunter story. The Ebony magazine gave them 4 pages, and you see them all there together. I think it's like 15 of them out of the 21 kids. It's like 15 of them. They're surrounding their mom, and you get this wholesome idea of this loving family. But the backstory is a tyrannical, low self-esteem and dysfunction. How it weaved its way through the family. And Paul has just, because like I said, I've known him for years. As a matter of fact, I met Paul myself when I came to Loving Charity Homeless Shelter myself in the early 90s as a struggling drug addict. And so the thing is I was one of the ones who came in and saw Mother Hunter. I knew her very well. And so the thing, and I met Paul back then, but there was like 2 sides of her. And so for Paul to be able to step out and tell the truth was very cathartic for him. And so what we did, since I wrote the book Loving Charity, which is the idealistic image of his mother, I also wrote the screenplay, The Two Faces of E. Now it's interesting. The mother did not allow her children to call her mother. They had to call her E. And the public people like me called her Mother Hunter. And so when I wrote the script, I took a departure away from, like I say, the ideological figure, matriarch of the family, and then I wrote it from the perspective of the children who were being neglected, and their story comes out, and that's why it's called The Two Faces of E.
How did the other children respond? What has happened to them?
Well, some of the children are some of them are successful. I have a brother who lives in Memphis, Tennessee. He is a pastor at a church, and also he has a sober house, which is about drugs and alcohol, and he's trying to help people get off those drugs and alcohol. But I have some that are that have been in prison, that's on drugs currently as I speak, and they, to me, my opinion is some of them don't want anything out of life.
Yes.
Because they have been beaten up. And anytime, when you're a parent, just like I am a parent, so I consider myself the commander-in-chief when it comes to my children. So I want to show love to them, I want to show affection to them, and I want to build them up, and I do not want to tear them down. When it comes to my mother, she constantly tears us down. So anytime when my sisters and brothers will experience a temporary of failure, because once they experience it, they think, okay, this is just a failure for life, and they don't know how to recover and say, you know what, this is just a temporary failure. It's a temporary setback, but they don't look at the dynamics and say, you know what, this is a great opportunity for a comeback. And that's the way I look at my life, as temporary setbacks, but it's an opportunity for a great comeback. That's the reason why I wrote the book, No Love, No Charity, the success story of the 19th child. And you can visit my website, which is nolovenoCharity.com. nolovenoCharity.com.
Is your mother still living?
What you say?
Is your mother still living?
Yes, she is. Currently, she's 79 years old. She turned 79 June 14th. She is still living today. Matter of fact, I spoke with her Saturday. Now, when I was living in the city of Racine, Wisconsin, my mom and I, we just couldn't, we couldn't get along, because now that I am a critical thinker, I believe in building people up and not tearing them down. But today, we have a better relationship because I'm not around her anymore.
Well,
and I'm out and I'm doing my own thing.
That is part of the inspiration, though, in your story. How you are able to relate to her this way.
Hold that point about relating to her. We'll come back to it. Don't go away. Armstrong Williams, Paul Butler, Dennis Woods,
Paul Hunter.
I'm hunting for Hunter. We'll be back.
Armstrong Williams returns in a moment.
Say bye-bye burgers, pass on the pizza, forget the francs. Anytime is party time. Discover Golden Cross's authentic Jamaican-style patties. Beef, chicken, vegetables, soya, spinach, and shrimp. Feast on our great taste sensations. Jerk chicken, oxtail, sliced fish, and much more. Savor the taste of the Caribbean. Only at a Golden Cross near you. A family tradition since 1949. GoldenCrossBakery.com.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
Anderson Brothers Bank, a family-owned and operated establishment that blends traditional personal service, local market awareness, and advanced technology to meet the financial needs of its customers. Visit abbank.com or call 843-464-6271 to see how they can assist you with your banking needs. Anderson Brothers Bank, celebrating 75 years of community banking, the way it should be. Stability right in your backyard since 1933.
America must change course if we hope to survive and save the American dream for our children and grandchildren. How do we fix Social Security and Medicare? How do we cut government spending? How do we reform health care? How do we simplify the tax code? The Heritage Foundation has a bold plan that tackles these tough problems using common sense solutions that leave partisan politics on the sidelines. Find out how we can save the American dream at savingthedream.org, paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sports shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
Paul Hunter, Dennis Woods, Dr. Bobby Fleisch, Dr. Thelma Reese. Dr. Reese, please continue.
Well, what I was saying is the fact that you were able to even attempt this relationship with your mother with such understanding is astonishing to me. I think there are people who survive terrible, terrible childhoods, terrible neglect and emotional abuse, but they can't reach the point that you have reached, or they don't appear to. It's about something has given you the strength even to try to maintain that kind of relationship and you obviously have some feeling of forgiveness that allows you to do that. Is that
Paul?
how you would describe it, Paul?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is this how you would describe it?
Yes,
That you forgive her?
Yes, sir.
Wow. That's really, that's very inspiring to me.
Do your children have any relationship with your mother?
My 4 children, they don't like going to see their grandmother at all.
Yeah.
And it is because, they had experienced some of her negative behaviors, and they don't want to be around her. And my mom, today, every time when I do speak to her every Saturday, she would say, your kids don't even, contact me. They don't even call me. And I don't want to tell her, the reason why, but, they just don't want to be around her.
But doesn't there come a point when you have to bury that?
You have to what?
Bury it and move on.
Yes, and that's what I did. I bury it, but my kids, they represent a different generation.
But they reflect your feelings. They're carried on your burden.
Yeah, but
they've made it theirs.
And maybe they don't. Maybe they just plain don't want to be around her because she can bother them too.
No,
but she's not the same person, and he's not the same person. These are different people now.
Yeah, and see, Armstrong, you got to understand this: that when you are around my mom, especially if you are educated men or a woman, she really is going to belittle you and make those derogatory statements because she doesn't like educated people at all.
They frighten her.
So when it comes to my children, she used to always not only say it to my children, but her own grandchildren that, you don't need an education. You don't need to read. You don't need to write. Only thing that you need is Jesus. He will give you wisdom and knowledge and understanding. He'll teach you how to read. He'll teach you how to write.
Dennis, you're listening to this. You've been mute here for the last 10 minutes.
Dennis had to take off.
Take off. No wonder he has been mute. But look, all I'm saying to you is that we all have a past. We all have hurt that we can talk about. Our family disappoints, but sometimes maybe she needs someone to just elevate her from that way of thinking. She will always be your mother no matter what she does. She's always your mother and their grandmother. And she's not going to be if she's in the winter of her life. So at some point, you got to let that go and build a new season. So that becomes the memory when she's no longer here. Yeah. There is nothing I would not forgive my mother of. Nothing. It's just I wouldn't hold on to that.
But perhaps
you didn't have such an.
Perhaps Paul feels that his mother might have a negative effect on his children. A truly negative effect.
He can change his mother. She can change. She can change.
Well, doesn't sound like she's on her way to changing.
And so Armstrong, writing a book was a catharsis for me. So I let go a lot of bitterness and resentment, and I had to let it go. If I didn't let it go, I wouldn't be able to communicate with you and other people in society. Mm-hmm. So whatever I had been through in my life, I had forgiven my mom.
I think it's astonishing, and I think that's really inspiring, and I think it's normal and healthy for anyone to want to protect his own children from being harmed in some way until they are old enough to understand the whole story and decide themselves that they want or will not want a relationship with her.
This is a tough conversation.
Yes, it is.
I'm sorry. It's a tough conversation for me.
It's been a tough life, but something that I think
every life has a story. But I mean, this is a man of faith. This is a, I mean, this is not the worst story we've ever heard.
Yeah,
but it's.
But we know that
right
we can
up there.
overcome. We know we can overcome. I mean, come on.
That's what's so good about it is.
Well, but Paul has overcome it.
Yeah.
He's treating his children very, very differently. He's learned from the experience, but I don't think that he needs to thank his mother for teaching him that experience.
Right.
Yeah. See, one thing I do allow my kids to call me daddy. Now, when I was growing up, I only had 8 years with my father.
Uh-huh.
We were allowed to call our father dad or pops. But when it came to my mother, if we would call her mom or mother, she would chastise us because
you know why
she did not want to be called mom or mother. She wanted us to say to her, call me.
She wanted to remain young. She wanted to remain young. She didn't want to feel like she was old. Some people think
she was happy to have other people in the neighborhood call her mother, wasn't she?
They called her Mother Edwards, didn't they?
They call her Mother Hunter.
Mother Hunter.
So
that's more of a church name. That's more of a status you reach in church.
It was her way, though, her way of achieving, of telling herself she had this kind of status and importance in the community, but she couldn't give it to her own children. I think that's tragic. I think that's a tragic story of a person. But I think you got something wonderful, either genetically or however has come to you that you've been able to reach the point where
I would be interested in your telling us the wonderful progress and the change that you have seen in your mother.
Say that again, Armstrong.
I would love to have you express to our audience the change, the progress that you have seen in your mother.
Have you seen any?
Have you?
I have seen. I have seen progress in my mom. Because,
talk about it.
What you say?
Please talk about that in detail.
Okay, because I can remember a year ago that my mom and I, we just wouldn't, get along. We couldn't, communicate because I tried my best to reach out, try to assist her, and try to, take her out to eat, try to have a conversation with her. And, what I discovered in writing the book is that the way that my mom treated her own children is the way that her mother taught her. So if you look at it, that curse, that generational curse, came from her mom and then went to her, and now it's in some of my siblings' lives today.
Oh, yeah.
How fascinating. There you are.
But you still have not told us the change you've seen in your mother.
The change that I have seen
in your mother, the progress that gives you hope.
What gives me hope is because, a year ago we weren't able to communicate. Now, since I left the state of Wisconsin, I'm here in Arizona, we have a better relationship because we talk on the phone for about an hour or two every time when I call or every time when I make contact with her. And we would just talk about things. And I let my mom know a month ago that I, as a person, have forgiven her for all the things that she has done to me and all the obstacles that she tried to put in my way so that I couldn't graduate at all.
And did she acknowledge that she had put obstacles in your way?
Yes, she
that,
did.
that she needed there were things that she did that she might want to be forgiven for.
Yes, and she had, my mom had apologized to me, and I let it go. I don't have any animosity or any hatred in my heart for my mom. She gave me life, and I love her for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think
That's
that
wonderful.
the
That's
trials and tribulations that I had been through in my life and I had experienced with her, it made me a better person today. Because I don't use excuses at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that some of my siblings today use excuses. The reason why I cannot get my high school diploma or go back to college is because of this. I don't want to use excuses.
Mm-hmm. Well, that is amazing that you came out.
Well, listen,
we have managed to build on this great sadness that you lived through, instead of letting it destroy you.
How do we get the book?
What you say, Armstrong?
How do we get the chance to see the project?
To get the book?
Yes.
Oh, you can go to any Barnes & Noble's bookstore or Amazon.com. You can visit my website, NoLoveNoCharity.com. But Armstrong, I want to say this because you are in Washington, D.C., and you have a lot of political clout there. But I would like to, find out how can I send a copy of my book and send a letter to the President of the United States, because I would like to send
I don't think I'm your best contact for that. But anyhow, thank you, everybody.
For more information on the